the victims of antisocial behaviour could choose how offenders are punished under Labour's plans to get a grip on lawless Britain. This is fascinating, actually, and I think I'm in favour of it, but let's just find out. Shadow Justice Secretary Steve Reed said prevention will be at the heart of their approach. So shocking stats reveal nearly 2 million reports of antisocial behaviour were just ignored over the past 3 years. Yesterday I covered that 1 million burglaries had pretty much gone uninvestigated. Anyway, Reed said under his plans, victims will be able to select the unpaid work that offenders can carry out, so victims will see justice being done. i.e., someone, you know, graffitis your car or something, and they get caught for it, which would be a fine thing, wouldn't it? But they get caught for it, and they get given unpaid work. You might be able to choose what unpaid work they actually do. I don't think I hate this idea. Anyway, to give her view, I'm joined now by journalist and political commentator Suzanne Evans. Suzanne, just before we get stuck into the idea that Labour are now trying to bracket themselves as the party of law and order, which I do think is laughable, this specific thing is quite a good idea, is it not?
Well, I'm not so sure, to be honest. I mean, I could conceive of a situation where you basically have criminals who are treated very unequally because, of course, what each individual victim wants might be very different. But what do you do if you have a victim that says, oh, they've had a terribly tough life, I forgive them, I don't think they should have any punishment whatsoever? What do you do then?
Well,
presumably somebody is then
punishment
still going to have to come up with a punishment.
Yeah, but isn't justice more about the victim feeling as though justice has been served? And if that victim decides that they feel as though, you know, Toby has had an absolute shocking life, he never met his dad, and it's really set him on a path to criminality, and that they don't want him to have any punishment, then the victim is all square.
Except if you've got another victim in the same circumstances and they think the punishment should be as tough as possible. It just becomes a sort of a postcode lottery, doesn't it? If you're a criminal. Now, OK, you might argue as a criminal you haven't got any rights and you just have to deal with whatever is handed out to you. But I think sentencing has got to be consistent. And my worry is that this isn't going to be consistent. And I think this fundamentally, Patrick, is the problem with what the Labour Party have announced. You know, yesterday they were accusing the government of being obsessed with gimmicks after the figures showed that more than 1 million thefts went unsolved last year. And yes, that is dreadful. But what have we got here now from the Labour Party? Well, I would argue it's another gimmick. This idea about victims choosing unpaid work punishments. You know, they're going to be tough on the crime again and tough on the causes of crime. That was Tony Blair's old slogan. Now they've got a new one: prevent crime, punish criminals, protect victims. It's another great slogan, but there's no real detail. There's no real detail about how this ability for victims to choose these unpaid work punishments is actually going to work. There's not even any agreement or in their proposal about what antisocial behaviour is. They're talking about tackling antisocial behaviour, but what is that? That covers a whole gamut of issues, some of which, of course, such as noise nuisance, are actually enforced by local councils rather than the police.